Good afternoon, my dear students. Welcome to computer online class. How are you? Hope you are doing good. Chapter 1, History of Computers. Let's recall what we have learned in the previous class. So in the last class we have seen about the evolution of computers, right? So in that we have seen the first generation computers. Do you remember what are the first generation computers? Mark 1 computer, ENIAC computer. What is the full form of ENIAC? Electronic, numerical, integrator and computer. Okay. The next computer is EDSAC. The full form of EDSAC is Electronic Delay Storage Automatic Calculator. And the next we have seen about EDVAC, right? So the full form of EDVAC is Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. And the last we have seen about UNIVAC one, that is Universal Automatic Computer. So finally we have seen the limitations of first generation computers, right? So what are the main limitations? The size is very large, right? And it is very costly and the speed is less when compared to the recent generation computers. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why we go for the next generation. Okay. So in today's class we are going to see about the second generation computers. Okay, from the year 1959 to 1964. See, the second generation computers are faster and smaller in size when we compare to the first generation computers. The second generation computers are fast and smaller in size. Okay, and they are more reliable when we compare to first generation computers. And they have many components like example printer, memory, disk storage, operating system. So in first generation computers we don't have this kind of components. Okay, so the main component used in first generation computer is vacuum tubes, right? Do you remember vacuum tubes? Yes. Okay, but here we can use the components like printer, memory, disk storage, operating systems, etc. And here the main component that is used is transistors. So first generation we have used vacuum tubes and in second generation we have used transistor as the main component. See, this is transistor. Okay, different kinds of transistors are there. Okay, they were easier to program, so they had great commercial use. Okay, first generation computers program storage is very difficult. Manually you have to wire and you have to make programs, right? But here it is very easy to store programs and so it had a greater commercial use. Okay. The programming languages such as COBOL and Fortran came into use during this time. See, programming languages, do you know? See, the instruction given to a computer, that is a program, right? So for computer we have some specific languages. Okay, for writing the commands we have some set of commands that we will say as programming languages. Okay, example is COBOL and Fortran. So these two programming languages came into use during the second generation computers. Okay. The example is IBM 1401 and RCA 501 are examples of second generation computers. Okay. See once again the examples of second generation computers, IBM 1401 and RCA 501. Okay. Next we'll see about third generation computers. Okay, from the year 1964 to 1970. They were faster and smaller in size. When we compare to first generation and second generation, they are faster and smaller in size. They use integrated circuits as their main component, which are popularly called chips. Okay, this is very important. In the first generation, we have used vacuum tubes as the main component, right? In the second generation, what we have used? Transistors as the main component. And in third generation, we have used integrated circuits. Okay, this is integrated circuits, also called as IC chips. Okay, this is the integrated circuit chips. Okay, they used new input and output devices like scanner, magnetic ink character readers, etc. Okay, so new input and output devices are used in this third generation computers. And the memory capacity was greatly enlarged. In first generation and second generation, we can store less amount of data. Okay, when we compare to those generations, in third generation, the memory capacity is enlarged. In third generation computers, operating systems are used. Okay, what is an operating system? This is the master control of the computer. See, for example, in your mobile, have you had Android? Have you heard? What is that Android? Android phone, you will say Android phone. What is that Android? It is the operating system. Okay, so operating system of the mobile. See, without an operating system, a mobile is useless. Similarly, in a computer also we have operating systems. Example is Windows. Have you heard? Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7. Yes, so these are the names of operating systems. Okay, so without this operating system, a computer will be useless. You cannot use any programs in a computer. Okay, so this is the main control of a computer, that is the operating system. Okay, so they use operating systems that allowed machines to run many programs simultaneously. See, at a time you can play games or you can play music, etc. Many programs you can run at the same time. Okay, they were general purpose computers and had both scientific and commercial use. See, this third generation computers, you can use it for scientific purposes. Okay, in aircraft and in military purposes, you can use these computers, as well as commercial use. Okay, for personal use also you can use this computer. So they are general purpose computers. And these computers used keyboard to input data and monitor to display the output. See, like modern computers, they have a keyboard and monitor. Okay, keyboard is the input device for entering the data and monitor to display the result. Okay, see, this is example of third generation computer, that is IBM 360 and 370 series are examples of third generation computers. So here we will use keyboard and mouse for entering data and displaying the output. Okay, so this is IBM 360 370 series computer. Next we will see about the fourth generation computers, that is 1971 to at present. Okay, they use microprocessors, a very large scale integrated circuit type which contain all the components of the CPU on a single chip. See, in fourth generation computers, we are using microprocessors as the main component. Okay, what we are using? Microprocessors. What are microprocessors? It's a type of a very large scale integrated circuits, that is VLIC, very large scale integrated circuits. That means all the components of the CPU will be embedded into a single chip. Okay, that single chip is called microprocessor. So see this. This is the structure of a microprocessor. It performs all the functions of a CPU. Okay. See, this very large scale integrated circuits perform bulk of processing and control all the parts of the system. Okay, like CPU, this VLIC chips will control all the parts of the system. And the use of microprocessors has resulted in decreased size and increased efficiency. See, this is smaller in size, right? When you compare with the first generation, second generation, third generation computers, So here in microprocessor, the size is very less and the efficiency is also high when you compare with the previous generation computers. Okay. And they have much greater computing power and storage capacity. See here the storage capacity is enlarged when we compare to the previous three generation, and the computing power is also raised. Okay. And they use improved storage devices that are cheaper than the earlier ones. So when you compare with the previous generations, this is cheaper in rate. Okay. They can be linked together to share the storage capacity, space, data, etc. See, you can form a computer network. You can link the computers together so that you can share the storage space or data you can share. Okay, you can form a computer network in this generation. See, these two are examples of fourth generation computers, IBM PC and Apple Macintosh. See, this is IBM PC and this is Apple Macintosh. These are examples of fourth generation computer. This is like modern computers, right? Okay. Next, we'll see about fifth generation computers. See, these fifth generation computers are referred to as supercomputers. See, we can call these fifth generation computers as supercomputers. Supercomputers have very high storage capacity, extremely high speed and the ability to carry out highly sophisticated operations such as weather forecasting. See, the supercomputers, what is the advantage? You can store large amount of data. It has high storage capacities and you can work on it with very high speed. Okay, so operations can be done at high speed and it can solve complex operations also, and it is used in weather forecasting. Okay, and Cray CS300 is an example of supercomputer. So the example of supercomputer series is Cray CS300. Okay. See, this fifth generation computing also involves artificial intelligence. Have you heard this term? Artificial intelligence. Now see, what's artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that aims to create computers that can think, behave and react in the same way as humans do. That means, like human beings, these computers can think of its own, it can behave and it can react to human beings also. Okay? See, the fifth generation computers would possibly be able to think like humans. See, nowadays in modern computers, a desktop computer or tablet computer, whether it can think like human beings? Yes. Whether it has any emotions? No, right? But in fifth generation computers, we have this artificial intelligence. Now scientists are trying to inbuild this feature in modern computers. Okay. And Japan is one of the first countries that tried developing artificial intelligence in the late 1980s and early 1990s, but they did not succeed. See, Japan is the first country that tried this artificial intelligence in computers, okay, but they did not succeed. But till now, they are trying their level best, okay, but there is only limited success. Anyway, by 2030, they believe that we would be able to have machines that equal the complexity of a human brain. Like human brain, the computers can also react. Okay. Next, we will see the characteristics of modern computers. Okay. The word computer is derived from the verb compute, which means to calculate. So, what is the meaning of this word computer? It is derived from the verb compute, that means to calculate. Okay, it can perform both arithmetic and non-arithmetic operations. Okay, first we'll see about the speed. So what about the speed of modern computers? It's very fast, right? It can perform all the mathematical calculations at very high speed. Okay, it can perform all operations at high speed. Next, accuracy. What about the result produced by a modern computer? Whether the results are accurate? Yes, of course, right? It will never make mistakes. If the inputs provided by the human beings are incorrect, only then it will provide incorrect results. Okay. Next, high storage capacity. See, the modern computers can store large amount of data. Okay, and you can retrieve the data whenever you want. Next is diligence or untiring. Whether you will get tired after studying for 1 hour. Yes, sure, you will get tired, you will feel bored, right? And you will have lack of concentration. But computers, whether they will get tired? No. It will perform millions of operations without getting tired. And with the same accuracy and speed, it will work from the beginning. Okay? So computers will never get tired and they have the diligent power. Next is versatility. See, the computers can do many operations at the same time in an efficient way, right? So, for example, it can work on different types of data such as graphics, audio, video, etc. Okay, this is the versatility power of modern computers. We'll see some limitations of modern computers. See, even though the computers can perform the operations at very high speed and with accuracy, but they have some limitations. Computers lack decision-making abilities. See, for example, if you have an apple, what you will do? Whether you will throw it in the waste box? Yes. Those who don't like apple, they'll throw, right? That's also one kind of decision making. Okay. If you like apple, what you will do? You will eat the apple. You know that apple is good for health and you will eat the apple, right? But when you give an apple to a computer, what it will do? Whether it will react? No. It don't have that ability, right? It cannot respond. Okay. It doesn't have that feel. It cannot smell. Okay. So these computers lack the decision making abilities. Computers need to be instructed at each and every step. See, the computers, if they want to perform the operations, with the help of human beings only they can perform. So it needs the instruction from the human beings. For each and every step, the human beings have to instruct the computer. Only then it can work. Okay. Besides being machines, computers lack emotions. Whether computers have any kind of emotions, whether they can express any anger or happiness, whether they can smile, no, right? So it cannot have any type of emotions like human beings. And computers that involve artificial intelligence are also called expert systems. So in 5th generation computers, they involve artificial intelligence, right? So this type of systems you say as expert system. An expert system is a computer system that has decision making ability like human beings. Okay, so like human beings, they can decide in their own. Okay, by 2030, the scientists are expecting such kind of computers. Okay. So in today's class, we have seen about the second generation computers, right? So second generation computers, what is the main component used? Transistors. So transistors are the main components used in second generation computers. Can you say examples? IBM 1401 and RCA 501. Okay. And the third generation computers, the main component used is integrated circuits, also called as chips. Okay. Example is IBM 360 and 370 series. And next we have seen the fourth generation computers. So in fourth generation computers, microprocessors are the main components. Okay, so it's a type of VLIC, that is very large scale integrated circuit. So it contains all the components of CPU on a single chip. Okay, so example is IBM PC and Apple Macintosh. And finally we have seen about fifth generation computers. So fifth generation computers are referred as supercomputers. Okay, example is Cray CS300 series. Okay, and one more thing, it involves artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? It's a branch of computer science that create computers that can think, behave and react like human beings. Okay, and we have seen the characteristics of modern computers, right? So we have seen about speed, accuracy, storage capacity, diligence and versatility. And finally we have seen about the limitations of modern computers. Dear children, we have completed chapter 1. I hope everyone has understood the lesson, right? And if you have any doubts in this lesson, you can contact me and you can clarify your doubts. Okay? Thank you, dear children. Have a great day.